everyone, welcome to Nina Cucina. Today I am going to show you how to make one of the basics of cooking, a basic tomato sauce. It's easy and it's economical. Let me show you what I have going on my work surface. I've got a couple of medium onions chopped and just a couple of different wines here. I've got some cream sherry that will bring out the sweetness of the tomatoes, and I've got about a half a cup of white wine, and here I've got some grated carrots. Now I buy these already grated in the produce department of my supermarket and I love them because I can just throw them into the food processor and mince them. It saves me a whole lot of time and effort. A little bit of sea salt, a little bit of garlic, and of course, nice fresh tomatoes. Now, whenever I find tomatoes on sale, I think I paid 88 cents a pound for these, I always buy them up, I make a big sauce, and whatever I'm not going to use that day for whatever I'm making, I always put in little containers and put the sauce in the freezer so I have it whenever I need it. So let's get started and I'll show you how I put this together. I like to remove the stem with the edge of my knife with a little point just like this. You could just dump it right in the trash and cut them in half first. Now you can see that there are seeds here. If you want to seed them, it's really simple. Just make a little cut if you have like a fleshy piece there, and you can just simply squeeze it over your trash can and your seeds will come out. The seeds in my sauce don't bother me. I'm not going to jar it. It's for home use, so I go ahead and I leave them there. I figure it's just a little extra fiber. This doesn't have to be perfect, this chopping, because we're going to ultimately put it in the food processor. I just want to give you an idea of how that works. Just big chunks. Remove little belly button, into the trash bin it goes, and just give things a rough chop. This is about 4.5 pounds of tomatoes, and not all of that is going to fit in the food processor at once. So we're going to be doing it a little bit at a time. And on it goes, give it a good spin, and it'll just turn right into a puree. Now, this is nice and chunky. I'm going to leave it that way. If you prefer to have yours absolutely smooth, then by all means, keep the processor running, and it'll turn practically into a tomato soup. Now, I'm just going to pop these grated carrots into the processor. I'm going to go head right over to the stove and get this sauce bubbling away. Now, I've put my pan on the flame at about medium-high heat, and you want to let it heat up for just a minute. The way you tell that it's ready is to put your hand about 1 inch from the pan's surface, and when you feel heat radiating up from the pan, then you know it's ready, and you can add your oil. Now, I am just going to add about, you can use olive oil or grapeseed oil. I'm using grapeseed oil today. This is a low heat cooking, so you can go ahead and use some olive oil. Have to be careful with your oils. Make sure you're using the right oil for the right heat temperature. Now, that oil is nice and hot. The viscosity of the oil has begun to change a little bit, and that's when you know your oil's ready. Once they start to get just a little bit opaque, then you can go ahead and add your minced carrots. Now, I have some minced garlic, but I never add it when I am sauteing my vegetables, and I'll tell you why. Because garlic has the big tendency to burn. Garlic has a lot of sweetness, and it has a tendency, those sugars tend to burn. And once you burn garlic, it becomes really, really bitter, and it can really ruin the dish. So I always add it after I've poured my tomatoes in, which is what we're going to do next. Oh, that just smells fantastic. Okay, in we go. Pour away from you so you don't splatter yourself. Tomato is really hard to get out. Give it a good stir around. All right, now I'm going to add about a tablespoon of minced garlic. Now, one of my big kitchen tricks is that I mince my garlic at the beginning of the week. And I have it all week long. I pour a little oil over it, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, and I keep it in a container, an airtight container in my refrigerator, and I always have it. Saves me so much time during the week chopping. I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of salt. This is sea salt. Only use sea salt, please. It has a lot more minerals and a lot less sodium than table salt. Now I'm going to add about half a cup of white wine. And I also like to add about half a cup of cream sherry. You can find that really inexpensively in any supermarket. I add the cream sherry because I really find that it adds a nice sweetness to the tomatoes. It really brings out the sweetness in tomatoes. Give it a nice stir. And this is just me, 20 grinds of black pepper. All I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it for just a minute or two, just to get it bubbling, and then I'm going to uncover it and let it simmer for about 40 to 45 minutes, and it will reduce and be absolutely delicious. The aroma is fantastic, so now I'm going to go ahead and take it off the stove and show you how I store it. So I'll always have it. I'm going to take a little bit out of this pot and save it for my dish this evening that I'm going to be making. Just about a cup, it looks about right, and the rest I'm going to show you how I store it. The first thing that I do is I make little circles for my storage bowls. These are going to go into the freezer of parchment paper, and the reason that I do that is I like laying it right on top of the sauce. It prevents freezer burn. Just really simple. They don't have to be perfect. Don't knock yourself out if you don't get the circles absolutely perfect. I like splitting my sauce up into different containers, so I have just a little bit when I need it. Sometimes I'm only cooking for 2, sometimes I'm cooking for 8. Now just go ahead and lay your paper just right on top there, just to give it a little extra. Get them nice and wet, push them down in there. There we go. Stay down there, guys. And then just cover them with the tops. Now, another thing that I do, let the air out, is I make sure that I label it and date it. Okay, so I'm just going to put what it is on this piece of tape and today's date, so I know. So there you have it. It's that simple. Your own tomato sauce for, look at all of this, for the cost of 1 jar in your supermarket. So do it yourself, do it at home, you'll get the best food and it'll taste the best and be the best for your family. Thank you for joining me today at Nina Cucina. I'll see you next time.